Welcome back, folks. Rudy. Today we're talking about credit cards and the secret layer. So I had some interesting messages come across my, the little tape line, the ticker. And I read the ticker, and it says pretty much, Rudy, longtime fan. I think you're a scumbag. Love you too, long time. Free hug. Question about the secret layers. The delays that are getting longer and longer. And as far as me paying on credit cards, and as far as protection in so I said, okay, I know where this conversation is going, because I clicked on the Secret Lair Walking Dead website, and I saw the ship date is showing end of January to February 2021. And I said, all right, so if people are paying for this October 1st, October, November, December, January, February. So it says that they expect all the Secret Lair Walking Dead to be delivered by February 15th. That's literally bumping. If you actually don't get your product by the end of February and you go, okay, let me wait till the end of the sale. If March rolls around, you're now bumping into the 6th month of your payment. Now, of course, if you paid with a debit card and you're a Timmy and you're dumb in 2020, to attach your debit card to your life savings and then hand people that you go around in your life, handing people your debit card access to your life savings, and you're just a Timmy. I can't help you. Again, 3rd floor gift basket. I got some leftovers just on your way out. I can't help you. You don't get cash back. You get no benefit. You expose yourself. And on top of that, if people steal it and anything happens to you with your debit card, then all your funds are already removed. You got to fight to get it replaced, versus a credit card where you can actually put a pause. It's a different type of animal. Obviously, you can see what I prefer. So this is a very interesting thing that I was not aware of. Because this individual says that he's waiting on 4 secret layers. And he bought, I think he said like 3 or 4 of each secret layer to get the free shipping. I guess you have to buy like 2 or 4. You have to buy a certain amount to get a free shipping, which is different on each sale based on the dollar amount, I guess. So apparently he was telling me his concern is he's making a literal spreadsheet of the items he's paying, the dates he's paying, because he can't keep track of it. He's afraid he's going to forget about items. And he's got 4 secret layers he's paid for that haven't arrived. And he says, Rudy, I can't buy the Secret Lair Walking Dead because this is the 5th one I'd have to buy that I haven't received yet. I've received the first few from the beginning of 2020. But if I buy the Walking Dead one and it doesn't show up in February, I risk crossing the 6-month threshold for even a credit card dispute, a PayPal chargeback, anything. You are in no man's land. You cross over what we would call the freedom land. You cross that line, there's no repercussions. You have no way of getting any protection. If something happens to your order, and again, it's not like you can really keep tabs of it. There's no login on the Secret Lair website. You can't make an account and view your order history. There's nothing there. So I said, wow, that's really interesting, because I'm sitting here thinking, all right, so let's give everybody a little rundown in this whole credit card, PayPal, dispute protection, chargeback processes, and behind the scenes of how these things work. So let me explain the basics. For those of you who haven't talked about credit cards in a long time. So, of course, if you go on any open market, TCG Player, eBay, Silk Road, Rudy's Basement, / Triple Taco, One Rudy, whatever website you're buying from, think about this. When you make a payment, you have to understand what happens if that creepy basement guy never ships anything. What if Rudy leaves town, builds an island in the Atlantis, and hides underwater with his alpha cards? What do you do to protect yourself? And this is kind of a fundamental thing that I don't even know why. I feel like this should be an entry-level discussion in an entry-level, like, a 1101, like freshman year college course. Even high school should be teaching this. Since kids can get credit cards at 18, you should be taught this before you're legally allowed to get a credit card. So when you have a problem with any transaction, you usually can go online, you can dispute the payment online and fill out a form, or you can always call your local bank, regional bank, or investment bank, whoever you're doing business with. You can contact the bank by phone, and an employee or representative will physically open a dispute in what they call a chargeback on a transaction that's on a credit card if it's posted on a credit card statement. And remember, you cannot dispute a pending charge. Now, there's shady companies out there that will literally do a pending charge for your pre-order, so you can't actually dispute the pending charge. But what happens is then your available credit on the credit card is locked out, and they can hold it for months, and they could wreck you. It's a pain in the butt. So that's the first thing to understand. The charge needs to post to the credit card statement in the account, which is usually 1 to 5 days from the swipe date. Number 2, once that happens, you usually have up to 90 days, 3 months, to do if there's a problem with the transaction. Let's say, I don't know, tap 3 blue in super mysterious magical games.com disappears. Sound familiar? I think everybody understands. So let's say they disappear with your money for whatever the reason. I don't know. They wanted to get some Raris, some Lambos, ladies of the night, tumbleweeds. Maybe he's driving around selling tumbleweeds in the apocalypse of 2020, whatever they're doing. What do? Now, depending on the bank you use, like I said, it's minimum dispute time through a bank chargeback. You have 90 days from the date of post, not the date of swipe. Now, usually, like PayPal and many other platforms, most banks allow up to 180 days to do a chargeback or dispute or pullback on your payment. But you need to understand a couple caveats, okay? The longer the time frame goes from the date of the transaction, the higher the probability you're not going to win the transaction. Because if this goes back and forth between buyer and seller disputing it, and the seller steps up and actually starts submitting information, I've had to do this many times. I've had unfortunately bad transactions on eBay. I've had patrons that have signed up just with the intent to try to steal things. We've had that with local things. I used to have that in the restaurants, in the military business. We had that all the time. There's always going to be people out there that are looking for the angle, or like we always talk about on this channel, the shortcut. And some of these people are just desperate because they don't have much money and access to capital. Other people are there are just a small chunk, I'd say less than 1%, that are just truly not really great people. But remember, 99% plus of most people and everybody is really good people, and they're really not out to get you. So you got to be careful, everyone, to just not think that one bad Timmy's Basement Goldfish store at supermagicalgames.com, not all the stores are like that. Just because you run into a bad employee or bad store, you can't blame everybody. And, you can't, I don't know what the term would be. You can't treat everyone bad because of one bad apple. One of those things, So when we go back to looking at this, remember that most disputes, the other party does not respond. And you get what they call the auto win or the auto fail because the other party defaults by non-response. This is most common for guilty companies. Now, there are some smart ones out there. When you do the disputes on credit cards and chargebacks, these companies will actually know how to navigate the system because they have a lot of experience, which is a little suspicious, and they will actually fight you and they will win. So let's get into that right now, everybody. So let's say I buy a case of Jumpstart. I bought it 3 months ago. I spent, a case of Jumpstart. I spent $500 on one case, or whatever it is. Is case 6 boxes? I don't remember. So you buy something for $500, buy some Jumpstart. And all of a sudden, you're like, dude, Rudy, it's been 2-3 months. I haven't gotten anything. 4 months, nothing. 5 months. I'm like, okay, we're at 5 months. I got to do a chargeback because I'm about to hit my 6-month cutoff window and I'm out $500. So at that point, let's say you go to PayPal and you want to do a dispute or chargeback on the PayPal through PayPal and have them act on your behalf between you and the bank or the credit card processor, which is, let's say, B of A, Citi, JP Morgan, Wells, Wachovia, Lehman Brothers, Washington Mutual. No, those are all bankrupt. They're not around. Oh. So let's say you go through PayPal. All right. First thing you do is item not received, blah, blah, blah. I want my money. First thing that's going to happen is usually the bank. If it's done direct through the bank, they will give you a temporary credit on your account. If it's done through PayPal, they don't do temporary credit. PayPal will open it and they'll say, okay, we got you. You got a problem. Thanks for letting us know. PayPal will then contact the merchant, send them an email, this and that, and say, hey, you got 10 days to reply. There's a problem here. And it says item not received is the labeling of the dispute. So give us the information. Do you have proof that you actually shipped the item? So at that point, the merchant is going to be responsible for sending in documentation, usually a tracking number or something, through PayPal to defend themselves. Otherwise, they're going to lose the $500 and it'll be pulled from their account and given back to Dr. Timmy of the Third Empire's Dynasty Basement Taco chain. You see what I'm saying? So, at that point, we wait. There's a message. The merchant, the seller, says, no. I shipped Timmy those Jumpstart boxes. Here's my tracking number. Now, this gets a little complicated. Now, PayPal will look at the tracking number. Somewhat. Now, what has happened is people who are very, very good at finance or came from the banking or credit card industry, let me explain to you all some of the shady stuff that can go on. And unfortunately, a PayPal employee, if it's not a high dollar transaction, meaning under a couple $1,000s, if it's below that, you're going to get more of an entry-level employee who's going to handle the case. They're not going to be very polished and refined in handling details. Now, you must then say, well, wait, whoa. I'm Timmy. You never shipped me those Jumpstart. How can you have tracking number? At this point, you have one of two things. A, the tracking number is blank and there's no proof of actually any activity on the tracking number. Okay, easy. Boom. Prove that. Say, hey, PayPal, beep, boop, 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 boop. When you do that, PayPal, that tracking number has no activity. He's trying to bamboozle me. Should be an easy win. PayPal checks it. Nothing was ever flowed through it. You're good to go. Blah, blah, blah. PayPal will side in your favor. That's the end of the case. Don't get angry. Don't start sending bamboozles, slinging the mud, and, wait, hold on. Stone-throwing devils, Arabian Nights. Wait, is that the dark? Arabian Nights. Don't get all gypsies and have a crusade and invoke your P. That's pretty good. Did I hit them all? Are those all the banned cards? I think I did them all. Cool. I've been practicing that one. So don't get all crazy and get angry because the other party's trying to hose you. You gotta leave emotion out of the equation. You gotta be calm, patient, just like any legal actual attorney will tell you. Any form of trial, dispute, legal thing is a slow process. Chargebacks and disputes in PayPal is no different. You can win it. If you're playing by the rules and doing the right thing, you'll be fine. Now, let's get into this. So, PayPal says, all right, Timmy, you're wrong. We got a tracking number. The seller said it shows delivered. Well, if that's the case, the seller is going to win the case. If the tracking number has the delivered stamp, the seller will win the case. Are we on the same page? So that is a very important thing to understand. If the seller has tracking that shows delivered, PayPal will always side with the merchant. Now, then this happens many other times. Then Timmy gets angry and says, no, I still didn't get it. I lost the case. So now they open another case. They lose the first case. They try to go back and open case number 2 and say, well, item's counterfeit. It's not as described. This is where you start getting into a gray area. And this starts getting a little iffy and you risk losing and getting banned from PayPal, or your credit card company can shut you down. Because you just stated you never received it and you lost the case. And now you're going to open another case saying, well, I got it, but it's fake. So I still need my money. Do not take that path. That is very dangerous. Now, at this point in the conversation, very, very few sellers or merchants are going to be able to provide tracking number with the correct delivered stamp during the correct time frame of dates with your actual address. That's 99% impossible to fake. I'm just going to leave that alone because we're not going to talk about the 1%. That is a 99% method of pretty much not being able to... I've only met like one person in my life that knows systems to literally really go above and beyond, which I don't want to get into that because that's just, it's dirty. So overall, at this point in time, that should end all of them. Now, I want to talk about a couple interesting little specific scenarios. Well, Rudy, I won the case, but I don't know if I'm going to get my money back because really awesome magical RudyGames.com is out of business. And they're not refund. The refund bounced. I like those. Understand a couple things. Refund bouncing is bamboozle. That means the case was not handled properly. Because simply put, PayPal will foot the bill and put the merchant's account negative. They will put it below zero and front you the money. A credit card company, same thing. The bank, whether it's Bank of Rudy, Bank of Rudy's X, whatever it is, they will foot the bill and take the loss under what they call fraudulent activity, whatever. So there's no way to win the case and not get your money. That's an important variable that a lot of people do not fully understand. So I want to put that out front and center. Now, there are times when the case can get sloppy and back and forth 20 times. It just doesn't get managed properly. And you may need to call the bank or call PayPal and say, hey, this was supposed to be a refund. It got canceled. They tried to bam. They're trying to be wiggle worm. They're trying to be, hey, they're trying to be all, my cousin Vinny's shady crap. Then at that point, you got to say, all right, whoa. That's why I told you guys about 5 minutes ago in this video, don't overdo it and fill up your disputes and don't fill the record books of this trial with a bunch of bamboozling, angry emotions. Keep it short, concise, and keep the facts only. Leave emotion out of it. Trust me, the banks and PayPal have seen it all and heard it all. Remember that. So that brings me back to the beginning of this video. The gentleman who contacted me specifically stated, Rudy, I'm concerned because these secret lairs are getting pushed so far out, we're now running into the risk of past the 6th month from point of sale. So, I don't know the details of how this whole thing works with secret lairs. I apologize. I'm not really well informed of handling these. I don't participate in these. I don't have access to this product line. As you all know, I don't own any stores that are WPN that work with tournaments. Wait, you can't even do tournaments. Does any of this even exist in 2020, right? I don't know the exact detail. I get what the gentleman's saying, because he's aware and he's had problems. He's bought from stores because they were cheaper and they never deliver. He's bought on eBay and on pre-orders and he's been burned. I feel like most of the community's been around at this point to understand where I'm coming from. So I want people to understand this is going into a very risky area because of the wait time for these secret lairs is now hitting what I like to call really the red zone. When you bump to that 5-6 month point from the time you paid and set this up, this is a little much, man. And you don't have any protection. Like we talked about on this channel, when you open expensive cards, you got to put it in a sleeve. And if you lose your protection, and you cross that 6 months, you're exposed. And at that point, you can have a lot of collateral damage. You can take losses. You can try to fight and send customer service, which they get 8 billion emails. And I'm sure there's 5 people working the customer service. I mean, it's risky, everybody. It's dangerous. But I wanted to make a video and at least put this out there. So for those of you who are still interested in this secret lair crossover, Walking Dead, Teletubby, Furby, Rudy the Red Power Ranger, Barney the Dinosaur, and of course everything in between, understand you need to be mentally prepared of engaging in these practices. It has more risk than you realize. Counterpoint to this, it also reinforces that when these do get delivered and come to market 6 months later, that's why they're usually sold for a premium, and they usually go up in value because so much time passes. There's a lot of people out there. I've seen messages at this point and comments in my other videos of people saying, Rudy, if that secret lair is $40, I'd rather pay $60 on eBay and actually literally get it 2 weeks later versus risking 5 months, forgetting about the order, not sure if I get it, if it's defective, what happens, if I'm missing something, if it's damaged. And I said, well, that's an interesting concept. That gets into the conversation of risk-reward and understanding the differences between the value of time in your thought process versus actual labor and focus and what has more value. Not taking the risk and paying a few bucks more, or waiting 6 months to save a few dollars off the eBay flipper scalper pricing. Do you see my point? So it gets a little bit more complicated into the psychology of that stuff, but I thought it really deserved a video. And I want to touch base on credit cards because it's been a while since we've really talked about credit cards and the dispute process, some of the details of it. If you guys really are interested in this kind of thing, I can probably do just a direct financial video. It's been about a year now since I've done a credit card video. I usually like to do one once a year, so I'll check the comments on this one after about a day or two the video goes live. And let me know if you guys are looking for more credit card specific as far as the disputes, chargebacks, the different categories of chargebacks, how to win them, what categories you cannot win, especially looking at services, when it comes to actual services rendered versus goods purchased. Whole different category when it comes to disputes and problems. In other words, if you're having actual labor, your yard redone, a tree cut down, that is very different. So